Rimworld is a top-down RPG colony management game set in the far future, in a distant, uncivilized world centered on the idea of three soon-to-be colonists coming together to survive after plummeting from the sky when their transport ship breaks apart in the atmosphere. A traditional playthrough will see the player select three starting colonists, each with their own traits, personalities, and quirks. Choose a place on the planet where they will crash, throw in some basic equipment, some food, then see the player build up a colony, and ultimately tell the story of the colony. And while the game is quick to throw the player into the fire, ultimately, Rimworld is about what the player wants it to be. The base vanilla game hands the player enough tools to build the colony they want to build. And while the toolbox may be expanded with DLCs and mods, the game at its core is the ultimate sandbox. Become a war-raging band of pirates, bring peace and harmony to your corner of the planet, or keep to yourselves and hone your relationships. The choice is the player's. To accomplish this level of freedom, Rimworld grounds itself on percentages and multipliers. Colonist actions are broken down into various categories: construction, shooting, melee, social, and medicine being a few. Each colonist receives a score in each of these categories, dictating how competent or incompetent they are. This is on a 1 to 20 scale, 1 being the worst and 20 being the best. Through doing actions in any given category, colonists will gain experience in said category and get better over time. Due to this system, one of the initial challenges of Rimworld happens before the player even truly begins the game, and it is not uncommon to spend 15 plus minutes randomizing your starting colonists to your liking, each with their own traits and skill sets. This happens because the player cannot dictate the point allocation of any given colonist, and as such, they must randomize until they find a colonist which fits their vision. Perhaps you want a group of soldiers, each with an excellent shooting skill. Maybe you want a group of construction workers so you can plop up your base quickly. More often than not, however, you'll find yourself looking for a well-balanced team. For one, you need a soldier with a great shot and a high shooting skill, but also hopefully is competent in other things when we're not shooting people. Not skills like doctoring though, because we don't want our doctor on the front line. We also need a farmer and a builder, but not someone who is both, because ultimately colonists can only focus at one thing at a time. In this way, Rimworld presents the player with a level of nuance. Who do you want to perform which tasks, and how much do you value each task? The challenge to find a balanced team often has a few hiccups. This is something which frustrates early players, but is by design. Your soldier may have a bad back. Maybe your doctor has cancer. Your builder may be addicted to alcohol. Or maybe your all-star colonist is simply a greedy misogynist. All these scenarios are possible through the game's deep health and trait system. At its core, Rimworld is interested in storytelling, and stories have great characters. It's rare to find an all-star colonist with no issues, and this is on purpose. To make this all possible, the game has a rather advanced medical and trait system. Everything from eyesight to blood filtration has a multiplier, and these will affect how your colonists act and react to certain things. For example, as your colonists get injured, their conscious multipliers, movement multipliers, manipulation multipliers, etc. may decrease. These multipliers will affect 1, if they just knock out with the consciousness, 2, how quickly they can build and pick things up with the manipulation, and 3, how fast they can walk with moving. There are also many illnesses within Rimworld. Some are harmless, such as the flu and food poisoning, which are just a little annoying. But some are much more deadly, with aggressive tumors, cancers, age-related illnesses, cataracts, and more. These are all issues which the player will encounter and have to deal with through their playthrough as their colonists try to survive. But that's all set up. Let's discuss the minute-to-minute gameplay. To allow for multiple colonists without the player having to control each individually, Rimworld operates on a priority system. Every action a colonist can do is assigned a priority. Assigning something a priority of 1 will place this action as a priority above anything lower than a 1. If there are 2 tasks with a 1, the task will be completed from left to right based on the priority board. For example, if a doctor is also a builder, and both doctoring and construction have a priority of 1, in the event that there is construction to be done but also someone needs medical attention, the game developers have organized the board in a logical way, and based on the board, doctoring will be done before the colonist goes to construct. The board can be viewed on the priorities screen and also on screen now. Through the assignment of priorities, the player can optimize what every colonist is doing at any given time, based on their strengths and their weaknesses. Once priorities are set, the player can begin giving orders. You can order your colonists to build a structure, cut down plants or trees, farm, hunt local animals, or even mine. These are just a few of the activities that you can order your colonists to do. After orders are given, based on the priorities set by the player, the colonists will tend to these orders. As colonists work to complete given tasks, they begin honing their skills, leveling up in each respective category. To complement this, colonists often have passions, indicated by little fire symbols on their bio screen. 2 large fire symbols indicate a heavy passion in this category. Colonists will learn very quickly in this category. A little fire symbol indicates a minor passion for this category. Minor passions still give an XP boost when a character is working in that category, but is not as large as a major passion. As the player progresses, they will begin researching various technologies, learning how to build more advanced tools and structures. For example, there are turrets to defend the base, medicine to heal your colonist, and ultimately, a starship, which you must build to escape the planet. In between these activities, you'll begin sending out caravans to interact with other factions. You may make allies and trade partners. You may even raid your enemies. You can set up outposts and second bases far off from your original colony in resource-heavy areas, and go on quests. Perhaps while you're doing all of this, your colonists grow comfortable. Maybe they get married. Some of them may even start families. There's a lot can happen in between when you start the game and when you take off from the planet. To most players, their first run-through of Rimworld, due to this randomization, is likely to be a constant jump between anxiety and catch up on a growing list of problems. Raids will begin small, perhaps one attacker, before growing in strength and size. What starts as a few human attackers will grow into a wave of brute force and metal. As you grow, ruthless mechanoids will come for you. Their mortar shells may hit a battery. There may even be an explosion. The explosion might start a fire. And as the world burns around you, your colonists scurrying for survival as the turrets blast them. Bzzz. A solar flare. The power goes out. And now the turrets are down. In Rimworld, all of these things can happen. And it's up to the player to guide their colonists through safety. Ultimately, as I mentioned several times in this video, Rimworld is about storytelling. A complicated game which challenges the player to do their best in a world where their best isn't good enough. There will always be more wood to cut down, more components to make, more enemies to kill. Rimworld isn't about beating the game, although there is an ending. It's about the player balancing the needs and desires of their colonists in a way that is just good enough to keep everyone going until they can escape and tell the story of their survival. So, stop stressing, stop looking for the perfect beginning, stop reloading the game when your best colonist dies, and simply tell the story of your colony. Play it out, see where it goes, perhaps it ends in ruin, but who knows? You may just guide your colonists off the brutal planet to a faraway place where they can live in peace.